Singapore Airlines flight hits severe turbulence, leaves one dead. British man accused of spying for China found dead. Judge rejects Harry bid to add Murdoch allegations. Former South Africa president can't stand in election. Japan racks up trade deficit as imports balloon. South Koreans hold annual space out competition.
Hello, I'm Wade Lee. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It is Thursday, May 23rd, and here are your top stories. One passenger died of a suspected heart attack and 30 were injured after a Singapore airline flight hit severe turbulence on Tuesday, fleeing passengers and crew around the cabin and forcing the plane to land in Bangkok. Flight from London and bound for Singapore fell into an air pocket while the cabin crew were serving breakfast before it encountered turbulence, prompting the pilot to request an emergency landing. The airline said the sudden turbulence occurred over the Irrawaddy Basin in Myanmar about 10 hours into the flight. The pilot declared a medical emergency and diverted the aircraft to Bangkok, it said without giving further details.
Photographs from the interior of the plane showed large gashes in the overhead cabin panels, gas masks and panels hanging from the ceiling, and items of hand luggage strewn around. A passenger said some people's heads had slammed into the lights above the seats and punctured the panels. Some tallies of the injured out of the 211 passengers and 18 crew differed. The airline said 18 were hospitalized and 12 were being treated in hospitals. Samatave Hospital said it was treating 71 passengers. It was not immediately possible to reconstruct the incident from publicly available tracking data, but a spokesperson for Flightradar 24 said it was analyzing data at around 0749 GMT, which showed the plane tilting upwards and returning to its cruising altitude over the space of a minute. A passenger who was on the Boeing 777-300 plane told Reuters that the incident involved the sensation of rising and then falling.
Police said on Tuesday that a former British Marine accused of spying for Hong Kong authorities in Britain has died in unexplained circumstances. Matthew Trickett, 37, was found by police late Sunday afternoon at Grenfell Park in Maidenhead, a town west of London, after a report from a member of the public. He was announced dead at the scene. Trickett was one of 3 men charged last week under British National Security Act with assisting a foreign intelligence service and foreign interference. According to London Metropolitan Police, the foreign intelligence service to which the above charge relate is that of Hong Kong.
Trickett had been out on bail since their first court appearance on May 13 and was next due to appear in court this Friday. All 3 men, Trickett, Chung Biu Yuan, 63, and Kai Liang, Y, 38, have yet to enter pleas. Chinese officials have criticized the charges, describing them as the latest in a series of groundless and slanderous accusations by London against Beijing amid rising tensions between the two countries over alleged Chinese espionage. The government of Hong Kong demanded that Britain provide full details of the allegations and protect the rights of Yuan, who is the office manager of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in London. Trickett, who was from the Maidenhead area, was a former Royal Marine and had worked as a British immigration enforcement officer. He was also reportedly the director of a security consultancy.
A London judge ruled Tuesday that Prince Harry can't expand his privacy lawsuit against his son's tabloid publisher to add allegations that Rupert Murdoch and some other executives were part of an effort to conceal and destroy evidence of unlawful information gathering. The decision by Judge Timothy Fancourt in the High Court was a mixed ruling for the Duke of Sussex in one of the 3 invasion of privacy lawsuits he has brought up in his ongoing battle against British tabloids. The judge said some of Harry's efforts to blame additional executives were to further a political agenda.
Fancourt allowed the prince to include allegations that his phone was tapped and add claims against other journalists and private investigators that he and other claimants say used unlawful means to snoop on them for scoops. But he rejected Harry's efforts to expand the case beyond the period from 1996 to 2015 to include claims of eavesdropping on his mother, the late Princess Diana, in 1994-95. And digging up private information on his now wife, actor Meghan Markle, in 2016. Fancourt said allegations that Murdoch turned a blind eye to wrongdoing added nothing material to claims made against newsgroup newspapers. The judge said those claims already include trusted lieutenants, naming Murdoch's younger son, James Murdoch, and Rebecca Brooks, editor at the defunct News of the World and the Sun.
Former South African President Jacob Zuma was disqualified Monday from running for a seat in parliament in a national election next week because of a previous criminal conviction. The decision by the country's highest court is bound to raise political tension ahead of what might be a pivotal vote for Africa's most advanced economy. The Constitutional Court said that a section of the Constitution disqualifying people from standing for Parliament if they've been sentenced to more than 12 months in prison without the option of a fine does apply to the 82-year-old former leader.
The Constitutional Court sentenced Zuma to 15 months in prison in 2021 for contempt for refusing to testify at a judicial inquiry into government corruption. The Johannesburg-based Constitutional Court said Zuma could not serve as a lawmaker until 5 years after that criminal sentence was completed. The ruling came 9 days ahead of the May 29th election. Zuma once led South Africa's ruling African National Congress Party but was forced out as its leader in 2017 and resigned as president in 2018 under a cloud of corruption allegations. He returned to politics late last year with a new party and renewed his fierce criticism of the ANC and current president Cyril Ramaphosa, the man who replaced him as both party leader and the country's president.
Government data showed Wednesday that Japan's trade deficit in April grew nearly 8% from a year earlier as the weak yen boosted the value of imports, offsetting gains from a jump in exports. The Ministry of Finance said exports totaled 8.98 trillion yen, while imports totaled 9.4 trillion yen, both up 8% from the previous year. The month's trade deficit reached 462.5 billion yen. Shipments to the rest of Asia, the US, and the Middle East were sharply higher, while exports to Europe were flat. Imports from the US grew nearly 30% from a year earlier, and imports from the Middle East, mainly of gas and oil, jumped 15%.
Vehicle exports jumped 24% and exports of electrical machinery were up 16%. Imports of mechanical parts surged as demand climbed for auto parts and computer chips. Japan's auto production has been recovering after disruptions from the pandemic that affected supply chains worldwide. Imports were also up sharply due to the US dollar's persisting gains against the yen. The dollar has been trading at about 156 yen lately, up from 139 yen a year ago, at one point reaching 160 yen. A weak yen makes Japan's purchases from abroad more expensive, though it raises the value of overseas earnings converted into yen by big companies like Toyota Motor Corp. Imports of oil and natural gas rose more than 23% in April from a year earlier, while imports of food and manufacturing inputs also climbed.
More than 100 people gathered silently on yoga mats over the weekend to do absolutely nothing, in a sole event that is part physical challenge, part art piece, and part respite from South Korea's hyper-competitive society. The annual Space Out competition held on Sunday finds who's best at zoning out for 90 minutes without falling asleep, checking their phones, or talking. Participants' heart rates are monitored, while onlookers vote for their 10 favorite contestants. Whoever has the most stable heart rate among the 10 takes home the trophy. Among those taking part was speed skater Kwak Yoon-ji, a double Olympic silver medalist.
More than 4,000 people applied to participate in the competition hosted by the city government. The 117 contestants selected ranged from a child in second grade to people in their 60s. For many participants, it was a way to recover from burnout and stress, often from their work, in a country with high academic stress and extreme pressure to succeed. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the Space Out competition, founded by a visual artist, who goes by the pseudonym Whoopsyong, after she suffered severe burnout. Since the first Space Out competition was held in Seoul in 2014, it has expanded internationally, with contests taking place in various cities such as Beijing, Rotterdam, Taipei, Hong Kong, and Tokyo. This year's competition in Seoul was won by freelance announcer Kwon So-ae, who works multiple jobs, and took home a trophy shaped like the Auguste Rodin sculpture, The Thinker.
The answer for yesterday is C, stigmatization. The stigmatization of mental illness often leads to individuals avoiding seeking help for their conditions. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of Singapore airline flight hit severe turbulence, leaves one dead. Number 1, turbulence, 乱流. We experienced severe turbulence during the flight. Number 2, divert, 使转向,使绕道. Northbound traffic will have to be diverted onto minor roads. Number 3, bound, 一定会的. You've done so much work, you're bound to pass the exam. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comments section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's it for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune into Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Wei Li, your host. I'll see you next time.